Hello everyone, once again I am back with a new project related JavaScript animation. In this particular lesson, we are going to build this beautiful hovering effect. You can see when we hover over this text, these effects happen. As you can notice, the text shine to left to right. And also you can notice all letters had different colors. And when I hover it away, this light effect fade away. We will create this effect using HTML, CSS and little bit of JavaScript. So let's start create how we can build this one. And before I jump into the Visual Studio Code Editor, I want to tell you something. This project is part of my JavaScript animation, projects without libraries. Here I cover multiple JavaScript animation projects one after another. You can access this course using my Udemy course link. Also, you can access this course using Skillshare link. And if you want to access this source course, yes, you can find it here. So let's get started. So as you can see, side by side, I open my Visual Studio Code Editor and my browser using Live Server extension. And I already created an HTML document name index.html. With that, I already created the style.css file and I link this file with this document. Then I also create script.js file. For now, our style.css file and script.js file is completely empty. At first, inside the body tag, I'm going to take a h2 tag, h2. And inside this h2 tag, I'm going to type JavaScript animation. This one. And then I'm going to set this file. After set this file, this is how it's look like. Next, I'm going to assign a class to this h2 tag. So I'm going to type class and our class name is text. And I'm going to set this file. After set this file, now let's jump into the style.css file. First, I'm going to use a universal selector star. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to define margin and padding. Margin, I'm going to set margin 0 for all of the direction. Then I'm going to set padding also 0. Then I'm going to define box sizing. I'm going to make it border box. Then I'm going to define the font family, and I'm going to use Arial font, Arial. And I'm going to set this file. After set this file, this is how it's look like. Next, I'm going to target the body tag. Body, then inside the curly braces, first property I'm going to use display. Display, I'm going to make it flex. Then, justify content center. Also, align item center. The next property I'm going to use minimum height. Minimum height, and here I'm going to define minimum height 100 VH, viewport height. Then I'm going to define background color. And here I'm going to use background color hashtag 222. It's a dark gray color. And if I set this file, this is how it's look like. Next, I'm going to target the h2 tag. The heading to tag h2 inside the curly braces. First I'm going to define the position. I'm going to make it relative. Then I'm going to define the font size. Font size, and I'm going to make it 3 em value. And next I'm going to transform this text into uppercase. So I'm going to type text transform uppercase. After that, I'm going to add little letter spacing. For that, I'm going to type letter spacing, and here I'm going to use 0.05 em value. Next, I'm going to use cursor property. Cursor, and I'm going to make cursor default. After that, I'm going to define font weight. So I'm going to type font weight, and I want to use minimum font weight, so I'm going to use 500, and I'm going to set this file. After set this file, this is how it's look like. If I increase the font rate little bit, if I make it 700, let's see how it's look like. I think 700 is good for it. Now let's go to the JavaScript file. Now what to do? At first we need to separate all the text from these words and we need to put it in a span tag. So every character of this word we need to put it in a span tag. So letter J we need to wrap it in a span tag. And the same way we need to wrap it A in a span tag. Then V, then A again, then S, then C. This is how we are going to wrap every character of this text into a span tag. After that, we are going to style this character and we are going to do that using JavaScript. So at first I'm going to select the h2 element and I'm going to store it in a variable. So first I'm going to define a variable let and our variable name is text. Text equal to, here I'm going to use a DOM method called document dot query selector. Query selector, then inside the round braces, here I'm going to target the class name. Here I'm going to target the class name. So our class name is dot text and semicolon to end this line. Basically, here I target this h2 tag, this h2 element using its class name with the help of JavaScript DOM. And now we need to wrap each of the letter in a span tag. So here I'm going to define another variable let and our variable name is spans. Spans equal to text dot inner text method. Now what basically inner text do? Basically it's going to extract the text from this variable. If I print this variable in my console, let me show you. So I'm going to type console.log inside the round braces I'm going to pass the variable name spans. And after save this file, if I show you my console in my browser, inspect console, here you can see the text JavaScript animation. So we extract the text using inner text method. And now we need to retrieve each of the character, otherwise letter, individually, because we need to grab it inside a span tag. And we can easily do that using split function. So here I will type dot split, this method. Then inside the round braces, and inside the round braces I want to split the text by every character. That's why I use this regular expression. Basically here we pass an empty string and it's a return an array which is going to store every split character in it. So if I save this file, as you can see it's return an array which store every character separately. JavaScript animation. It is a regular expression technique, and if I pass a space, then it's going to store only two array item, JavaScript and animation. Let me show you. So after provide space, if I save this file, as you can see, this time it's stored in this array total 2 index, JavaScript and animation. So we are going to split this text using empty string, not by space. So after set this file, we are back to the previous position. These are all array elements. And now I want to run a loop over this array. For that we are going to use map method. So after split function, I'm going to type dot map method. And here we need to pass value and the index. So for the value, as a first parameter, I'm going to save the letter. I'm going to pass letter. Then I'm going to pass I for index. Basically this method loops through the array and creates a new array. Remember, here I represent the index number. If we pass 0, then it's going to represent j. If we pass 1 index, it's going to represent a. If we pass 2, it's going to represent v. So this is how it's work. Next, inside this map method, I want to call a function. I want to create a function. Let me show you. And here I'm going to use arrow function equal to arrow sign. And inside the curly braces, I'm going to return. And here I'm going to use template literal. So here I'm going to use backticks. And inside this backticks, I want to return a span tag. Span. And inside this span tag, I'm going to use $sign, and inside the curly braces, here I'm going to pass the letter, this variable. So I copy the letter variable and I'm going to paste it here. So after save this file, as you can see, this map method loop through every character and here we put every character inside this span tag. Here you can see every span tag hold a character. And now we need to convert this array into a normal HTML. We need to inject it in our HTML document. For that, we are going to use join method. So after round braces, here I'm going to use .join method. It's going to join all the separated array values. Now, if I save this file, you can see the different result. Now, you can see in my console, it's a single text. It's not an array anymore. Basically, it's a string. And we need to put the string inside the HTML document. Basically, we need to put it inside the heading tag. For that, as you can see, we already target the heading tag using its class name and we store it in a variable called text. So here, I'm going to type text dot inner HTML and equal to, here I'm going to provide the variable name called spans. Now, if I save this file and back to the element section, now you can see inside the h2 tag, h2 element, we have multiple span tag for each of the character. So here we successfully put every character in a span tag with the help of JavaScript. But there is a problem. It provides comma between all the characters. So we need to resolve this problem. If I show you my console, here you can see the comma. For that, inside my join function, I'm going to join it with empty string and then I'm going to save this file again. After save this file, as you can see, it resolved the problem. Now, let's jump into the style.css file again. And then I'm going to select this span tag which is inside the h2 tag, h2 space span. Then inside the curly braces, first property I'm going to use colored. And I want to use this color, hashtag 555, this light gray color, and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, as you can see, it's changed the color. It's changed all the character colors at once. Also, I'm going to add little transition on it. Transition, and here I'm going to add 0.25 seconds. This amount of time. Then below it, when I hover over this h2 tag, h2 colon hover, then I want to carry this span tag. Span. Then inside the curly braces, again I'm going to use color property. Color, and I'm going to use this hashtag 00FF2A. This color code. This light green color, and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, if I hover my cursor on it, you can see the result, how it's changed the color. Then, order to give shining effect, I'm going to use text shadow. So type text shadow, this one. And here I use this drop shadow value, and I'm going to save this file. And after save this file, After add this drop shadow, if I hover over this link, you can see this beautiful lighting effect because of this shadow. And then I'm going to add little transition delay in our span text. For that, we need to jump into the script.js file, and here inside the span tag, I'm going to use style tag. It's an inline styling method equal to, inside the double quotes, I'm going to use the property called transition dash delay. Transition delay. Then I'm going to add double quotation, n quotation, and inside it, here I'm going to use again, and here again I'm going to use $sign. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to pass the index number, which is I. Then I'm going to multiply index number with 40. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, this is how it's look like. Oops, also we need to define the unit. Here we need to pass millisecond, ms. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, if I hover my cursor on this text, here you can see the beautiful transition effect because of this delay, this transition delay. For this transition delay, here we use index value. With index, we multiply with 40. So every time for the first index, it's going to multiply with 0. Then it's going to multiply with 1. Then it's going to multiply, for V, it's going to multiply with 2. For A, it's going to multiply with 3. 3 times 40. So it is going to return different ms result, millisecond result. Because of this delay, it's created this beautiful transition. You can notice our letters shine one after another. Next, we are going to change the color of each letter using CSS filter property. So at the same way, inside the double quotes, I'm going to add another property called filter. Filter, colon, and I'm going to use hue rotate value. Hue dash rotate. Hue rotate, inside the round braces, inside the, then I'm going to use $sign. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to pass index multiply with 30 degree. So outside the curly braces, I'm going to type the unit, DEG. So after save this file, if I hover my cursor on this element, you can see different result. You can see this beautiful colorful text. As you can see, each of the character represent different color. It made with different color. So this is how we can create this beautiful JavaScript text animation effect. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next project. I hope you enjoy this project.